questions on my phone.
Okay, it's live. Now to... Yes, show the live chat. Hey, for people who are... Alright, 3 people are in there. Yes, I want you to... This is... You'll have to bear with us here for a second. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. The chats are there.
Oh,
hey guys, how you doing?
Yo.
This is kind of an excuse to...
Try things.
Yeah, to try things out, to see how well doing something like this on the cell phone and everything on the car is. How is the audio?
Video and audio okay on your guys' end? Because for us, it's fine.
Yeah, honestly, it looks...
Holy fuck. This goes fast.
It does. This whole thing is just going to be me sitting here just looking at it scrolling by.
Yeah.
So it is good. Cool. It probably is better than the camera we use for the midnight screenings, honestly.
No, you know, the iPhone camera is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So we're doing this, to promote the movie, because give us your fucking money. And,
yeah, I did a Q&A on Facebook the other night. If you missed it, it's over on the site. Watch that later. Watch us here for now. So we are going to be doing like a Q&A, but it is strictly Jesus Bro related stuff. Anyway, yeah, someone said said the audio's typical of an iPhone, but you can hear you. I'm like, cool. That's all that matters. All right, so let me try to catch some of these questions. These questions are going by really fast, so you'll have to forgive me.
So far it's just people.
Hi. So far it's hi, hey, sup,
Dick. Yeah, that's me.
Shut up and take my money.
And we'd be glad to take your money. Buy another copy of the movie.
How much is the movie? If you rent it, it's $4. If you buy it, it's $20. You can buy it, please. It's over on Vimeo on demand, and it's also available on DVD as well. And you can get all that at JesusBroMovie.com. In terms of how many people have watched the movie, I heard yesterday that I was talking to Ryan yesterday, and it's more people have watched Jesus Bro in the first couple of days than watched the Cinema Snob movie in its first month, which is really good because a lot of people watch the Cinema Snob movie.
Yeah.
Do you need a Vimeo account? Yes, because when I went to go grab a copy, I needed to sign up for an account, which was easy. It was just like anything, like just registering for an account over on Vimeo.
But you don't need a Vimeo account to buy a DVD.
No.
How proud?
I'm hot. I'm actually hot right now.
You're hot?
It's getting toasty out here, man.
Yeah, well, it's early summer, late spring. Thought process behind the poster. Honestly, Ryan really had an idea of what he wanted. He wanted that thumbs up thing coming out of a cloud, and I tried it, and really what happened was it's a digital poster because, quite frankly, I didn't have time to do something by hand, which would have been my preference. But in just playing with things, really I couldn't make it work exactly the way Ryan wanted, so I just started throwing things together to give him the same feel. And also I really wanted it to look like one of those really cheesy church youth ministry posters.
It does. I love it.
That's kind of what I went for, but I also tried to give it a more painterly feel because when I went to school, what I studied was primarily oil painting, but also I studied oil painting in the style of the Dutch masters, which sounds pretentious as fuck, but most of that was actually religious work, and it's just, my work doesn't look like that, but that's the style I trained in, the technique.
There were different ideas that were thrown out for the poster. One of them was, I don't know if I ever really had an idea for it. Most of those came from Ryan. One of them was like a thumbs up with a halo around it. One had something to do with like floating heads or something, right?
The idea of doing floating heads. My initial idea that I pitched to Ryan, the one that I still might do for fun, was doing a really bad Photoshop poster in the style of some of the posters that they have for those Christian movies, specifically the Do You Believe poster with the cross and the Photoshop in it.
An idea I had in mind, if I did have one, and I knew it wouldn't wouldn't be one that would actually be the poster, but kind of like what you were saying with like the bad photoshopping. There's a poster for a PureFlix movie called What If? It's a David A.R. White movie where he's just standing there in the grass going, ah! And in the clouds is like floating Della Reese.
See, and something like that would have been fun, but also, you know, it's just I'm happy with the poster. I'm not happy with the DVD cover art. I've had discussions with people about this. It's really what happened was I sent all the digital files off, and instead of it wasn't transferred and shrunk correctly, so the wording has a glow to it that's way too big, and just technical shit that, you know, maybe a second release I'll fix.
Okay, let's see.
Idea for the music video?
Oh, well,
I'm sure that was Ferrante.
Oh, well, the song was by Anthony Ferrante and Robbie Rist. They did the song.
Cousin
they did the title song.
Oliver.
Yeah, they did the title song, and they did other songs that are on the soundtrack as well. And the music video, I edited that together yesterday, just using clips from the movie. So that was how I spent my day yesterday.
Jesus Bro on Netflix.
Not as of now.
Not as of now. The thing with Netflix is apparently, while Netflix does take independent movies, really you got to kind of go through a publishing company of some kind.
An aggregator.
Yeah, and that might happen eventually, but it's
Don't wait for that.
Yeah,
if you want to see it, don't be like, well, I'm going to wait for Netflix, because it might not happen.
That could be a year or two down the line. Ryan said he looked into doing it on Amazon, and quite frankly, the problem with Amazon that he discovered was that we really wouldn't have seen any of the money for it. So that was the issue with doing it on Amazon.
David A.R. White. Honestly, would David A.R. White like Jesus Bro?
No.
I don't know.
No, I don't think he would. I don't think he'd be able to bitch about it too much, but we poke way too much fun at his work.
Hey.
And my wife's right outside the car.
And when I saw you look out the window, I was like, if something's wrong, no one in the chat is saying anything about it.
So I hate to be that guy, but your dog's in the backyard. When I tried to get him to come back in, he bit me. So I don't know, maybe you could take care of that for me?
Yeah, step in for me.
Do you want to switch out?
We're switching out for 2 seconds, guys.
God, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, guys. David got a puppy, and it's adorable, but it's also a puppy.
It's actually just Jared on a leash.
Dude!
You guys are into some weird shit.
Football?
The question right beforehand was, would David A.R. White like this movie? He owns... Do you know who that is?
Nope.
Oh, he owns PureFlix, and he's in most of the movies. Have you seen a PureFlix movie? I don't think you...
I don't think so.
I
saw Saves Christmas.
Yeah, and that wasn't... And War Room wasn't PureFlix either.
Which ones are the PureFlix ones?
God's Not Dead, God's Not Dead 2, Old Fashioned, pretty much the rest of them.
So the kind of mean-spirited ones.
The more like kind of victim-y complex ones. Not saying that like there aren't, because I don't think Voiceless was PureFlix, or the one that's literally called Persecuted. But David, I don't know. I think he might, because the movie's not mean-spirited. It
is poking lighthearted fun.
Yeah.
Though, and I mean, if someone's got a persecution complex, I could see them.
Let me put it to you like this. He was once interviewed by Josh Hadley, and that went over well.
Oh, okay, then he loved this movie.
And he also like gave a like to when somebody on Twitter linked us both in like a photoshopped image of like God's Not Dead 3 in space. In space, no one can hear you pray.
Okay, if you like that, then he will love God.
I'd like to think so, because as much as I don't like these movies, I like David A.R. White, because he's usually the best part of these movies. He usually just plays like the doofy hip preacher with the blonde hair and everything. Like God's Not Dead 2 opens with him just like he's Martin Short from Pure Luck. Like he stubs his toe at the beginning, and then he gets coffee spilled on himself twice. This is the only time this really happens in the movie. Other than that, he's fine. Oh wait, I take that back. He like passes out in court later from like an appendicitis.
From loving Jesus too much. David's back. Bye, guys.
He's in the house.
Thank you.
What if David A.R. White owns a copy of Jesus Bro?
Awesome. He should own 20.
I did send PureFlix a link to the movie.
I hope they all watch it and just learn.
I sent them a link. It's also been submitted to the Dove Foundation. So we'll see. No matter what their answer is, you're gonna get a new promo for the movie. Is Jesus Bro on the stream?
It's on Vimeo.
It's on
demand.
It's not going to be on YouTube.
No, it will. This project will never be available for free.
Mm-hmm. No.
It might be on Netflix or something someday if you pay for a service, but it'll never be free.
No, I haven't seen anyone upset about that.
Yeah,
because there's 900 free videos on the page,
and it's just not the nature of this project.
No, it's not.
We've talked about doing another web miniseries for fun.
Yeah,
but
just
not this project.
Yeah, it's something like if there's ever going to be another thing again, which I'd like there to be, that's like some of the stuff that we did in the past, like the Hooker with a Heart of Gold, the Freakouts, or not Freakouts, like Midnight Heat, stuff like that. Something like that will always be free.
Yeah. Jesus Bro on Laserdisc. That would be.
I wish.
The same thing is like if we could find somebody that made it and it didn't cost $1 million, yeah, we'd do that. We'd do VHS too, but it's really expensive.
Yeah, VHS is what I looked into a little bit for Shot on Shitio, and it's one of those things that would be like a limited release thing. Like you'd have like 50 of them made, and then you just throw them up on like an eBay store or something like that.
And somebody just mentioned Blu-ray, which, yes, we'd love it to be on Blu-ray, and that might happen in the next few months. But the fact of the matter is, the great thing about the DVDs and Kunaki is that we don't have to handle the shipping.
Yeah.
And so if we do a Blu-ray release, what'll have to happen is, because there's not really a company that I don't think any of us are aware of that does the same thing Kunaki does, we'd have to have them made, shipped to us, and then handle ordering, which sounds like a fucking nightmare.
It's not the best.
No, yeah.
But just right now, just be of the mindset that
you can't wait. You need to buy it on DVD.
Exactly. And
because there's no guarantee. It's something we'd like to do, but it might not be feasible.
There's not a guarantee. So if you really want to see it, don't wait on that. And also how successful this movie is, profit-wise, all goes into how successful the next movie is going to be. So if you're on the fence about this movie, but you still want to support us and you still want to support other projects, rent this movie, buy it, share it around, tell your friends about it, and all that. You don't have to. It's the kind of movie it's the kind of movie that you don't have to know who we are to enjoy it. You don't have to be a subscriber to the YouTube channel, to the website. You don't have to have ever heard of like Channel Awesome or the cinemasnob.com, even though it does have characters like Santa Christ and Malcolm's Devil in it, and the Rickhead from a show we did called The Reviewers. Yes, those are pre-existing characters, but they're worked into this narrative to where you don't have to know that. Yeah. There's context for every single one of them being there. So if you're worried of recommending it like, well, this person's never heard of Channel Awesome, or well, this person's never heard of the cinemasnob.com, that's not the case with this movie. Anyone could really watch it and enjoy it.
What's another question that's not some guy just saying, I need pussy over and over again?
Is Jesus Bro in its own canon? No, because the Rickhead's in it.
Yeah, but also at the same, it's in it. Yeah, the Rickhead's in it, but at the same time, I feel the Rickhead in Jesus Bro is different from Rickhead and everything else.
It's the same guy.
It's the same guy, but his rants are different, and
because it's a PG-13 movie, and also the Rickhead was always like a very much a side character.
Yeah,
like even that's pushing it a little. Like the Rickhead was like the funny troll that would pop up on the reviewers to kind of rant for a bit, for like a minute in each episode. And in Jesus Bro, it's way beyond that. He's the lead in this movie, so he definitely has to have some kind of personality or some kind of arc or something else to the guy. So it's written differently than the reviewers, but it's the same character. Do you
consider it canon with the reviewers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brad considers it canon, so it's canon.
Yeah, most of our movies are kind of in canon with each other. Rick Wilson is in Freak Out and Midnight Heat.
Yeah.
Max Force is in Shot on Shitio and Cheap. Officer Randy is in Paranoia and shot on Shitty-O.
We like bringing things back for our own giggles.
Steel crosses over onto the Cinema Snob, so they all kind of are.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, they all kind of are, even though they sort of exist in their own little
pockets.
Yeah.
All right, what's next here?
This goes by so fast.
Yeah.
Something.
Jesus.
I can't.
This is ridiculous.
See it.
Let's see if I can pull this up on my phone so I can actually read some.
One guy switched it up and said he needs booty this time.
Ooh, booty? I understand that. Like, everybody needs some booty.
Oh, are the commentary tracks on? The commentary tracks are just on DVD. Though, if you rent it or buy it on Vimeo, it's the movie.
Yeah.
It's just the movie. The commentary tracks and all of that are on the DVD. And there's 3 commentaries. There's one with me and Ryan. There's one with you, Sarah, Allison, and Brian.
Yep.
And then some of the Chicago people did one. Like Doug and Rob and Farad did a commentary up there.
You need.
Now he needs pussy. That's gonna be zero context for people watching this later.
For a sequel.
Nah.
Nah, we did this movie. It's like, unless this movie brings in like 8 times its budget, there's no need for a sequel. It was what it was. It was the movie we wanted to make, and we had a good time.
If there ever is like a spin-off, it has to be called Carlos Almighty.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, now that I think about it, there kind of is. Like, the script I wrote for the next movie, which is this really dark, like, satire on, like, Hallmark Christmas movies, the main character is Tamara's character from Jesus Bro, the waitress.
Yeah.
Now it's because now it's like, okay, now it makes sense that she played such a tiny role in Jesus Bro. That was not the role that Tamara plays in Jesus Bro is not the role that was written for her. The role that was written for her ended up getting cut for time and budget reasons. But we still really wanted her in the movie. But by the time this part got cut, the only part that was left that wasn't cast was this waitress that had like, what the fuck is that? That's a chainsaw. Oh no.
Just like when we were making the movie.
Yeah. This waitress that has like 2 or 3 lines. I loved you sitting there too with Tamara in the background walking to different tables, and you said something like, this waitress would be fired after 2 hours. You're like, no one has bread on that table. That table over there hasn't had their water filled in 30 minutes.
I notice these things, man. I managed restaurants, okay? I know when I have to shit can somebody.
I can't remember if this is in the final cut or not, but when we were doing it, there's a couple of shots where you could see Tamara walking in the background when you're sitting at the table doing the lines with Allison, and Tamara would stop, like in character, would stop and look over at you two and just be like, ugh, and just walk off and continue to. I don't know if this was before or after you threw up in the champagne bucket. Where can I get the DVD? JesusBroMovie.com.
You can order it. Or you could go see Brad at C2E2 in Chicago this weekend.
Oh,
Get a copy at the table.
Yeah, we're going to be in C2E2 this weekend, myself and the Chicago crew, all weekend long. One person said,
would we have submitted the movie to Cannes? No. Quite frankly, let's be honest. It was a fun movie to make. I think we're all happy with it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not Cannes material.
I think we are submitting it to Trauma Dance, I believe.
Trauma Dance, it is Trauma Dance material. But it's not Cannes material. I think maybe down the line, Ryan, I think, might have a Cannes movie in him. But I think Ryan's just got to really decide on what movie he wants to make and what voice he wants to have. Because I think now, especially after this movie, because if nothing else comes out of this movie, we met the crew that Ryan hired and brought in. I think if nothing else comes out of this, we have some great new collaborators that I think will be more than happy to work with us again. And I'd be thrilled to work with them again. They were all great guys.
It was a great movie to shoot. Yeah. It was it was some of the most fun that I've had on a movie set. I mean, granted, like I've said before, I had the easiest job on set of this movie, so most everyone else was more stressed out about stuff than I was necessarily.
I just made my job look easy.
Yeah, see? Just sit there and eat beef stew.
We talked about this in some of the commentaries where it's just like every day on set, everybody had jobs. So the rest of us that are so used to making these movies in our group of friends is like, yeah, we need to change lighting. So all of us would stand up at once and go, oh yeah, and sit back down, like get really fidgety between takes because it's like, aren't we supposed to be building something right now?
Yeah. So I just got to like chill and do like the behind the scenes stuff. And my scene took 2 days because counting the ending, 2 days. A bulk of my stuff was just in a day. It was an 8-day shoot.
Yeah.
It was an 8-day shoot with like a day off, like somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and I've talked to Ryan. We won't do something that quick again. Ryan's already like at least 12 days, if not more. And it's like that because like. I think the quality of the movie is by far the best we've done, but in watching it, and easily, but in watching it too, it's after being there every day, it's like, man, yeah, if we had another half day to work on like some things, like that day would have gone a little smoother.
You guys would have noticed more stuff like that than me, because like I said, I was just doing the behind the scenes stuff during the making of it. So
Massimo, shut the fuck up! No one cares, man. This is the most attention you're going to get. After this, we're ignoring you because you're annoying. Okay?
I don't even know what's going on.
Fuck off.
What if he meets his future wife in here?
Yeah. All right.
Can it be a Fathom event?
If we knew how to arrange that, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's like, it's one of those things that if, most of our crew wasn't from California or Chicago and Ryan wasn't in California, I think we would have put together a screening somewhere for this. But I think time just got in the way. We wanted to hit the weekend we wanted to release it on, because even though MSD3K and some other stuff came out.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
But even though it was just the perfect release date. And how could we
Good
pass
Friday.
it up?
There was one guy. I mentioned this in the Facebook Live, like in the Facebook Live Q&A. There was one jackass who was like, right away I could tell, like, you're just one of those types who like fetishizes being offended. One guy on like the Channel Awesome forums or something, or the Facebook group, was offended that it was released on Good Friday, but in a way where it was like he was acting offended on behalf of a group of people who aren't.
Well, and furthermore to that, if you're offended by the release date we chose, our fairly mild movie would have like made your flesh melt.
Yeah, I think I might have said something like that, and then like I think he responded back with like, yeah, but the title of your movie's a slur. I'm like, no, it's not. It's the same context as Hey Scotty, Jesus, man. It's in the trailer. Dude writes back, oh, well, I haven't seen the trailer yet. Fuck off. Who are you?
Someone asked why PG-13. Honestly, to reach the widest audience we could.
No, it's not that. No. I've never given a shit about that.
No, but I think that's a decision that Ryan really wanted.
No, I came up with that.
Really?
Yeah, because I wrote it. I wrote the first 2 drafts of it. It was always a PG-13. The reason why is because the movie is made to mimic these movies. Yeah. It's made to, in certain aspects of it, be like a stealth parody, even though there's parts it's obviously a parody, and then there's other parts where it really does feel like one of these movies. That was always the intent with this. It was never made to be like a raunchy parody or something. Yeah. So a movie that we're mimicking, which we're basically making our own version of, but doing it in parody, would never be an R. A movie like Old Fashioned, War Room, God's Not Dead,
No.
Second Glance would never be an R. So that's the reason for that.
Be lucky pushing PG on some of them.
I think like Old Fashioned is a PG-13.
But on the plus side of that too, now you can show it to your grandparents and shit.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's the only movie that I've written that my grandma would watch.
Yeah.
I don't know if she'd like it.
No, she wouldn't.
But
no,
she'd watch it.
No.
Before this, I think the tamest movie that I did was maybe Game Boys.
Yeah.
And that's still an R.
Make a horror movie.
I've made like
several.
A few. Freak Out, Cheap, Paranoia. I've made stuff like that, if not horror, certainly exploitation, like Midnight Heat, Hooker with a Heart of Gold.
It'd be fun to make a horror movie, but at the same time, they don't age terribly well. Some do. Some do.
Yeah, well, I like the fact that the older movies we've done have some of the best reviews for any shot on Shitty-O movie ever.
Yeah.
Because that's what they are. It's like, I don't know why I even made a movie called Shot on Shitty-O. I've made several. Not shot necessarily on VHS tapes, but Freak Out, Cheap, and Midnight Heat were shot on high 8 camcorder tapes.
Would we possibly remake Sadistic Bitch if we got the chance?
We
were talking about this like 2 days ago, literally. Yeah. Because we were chatting about all our old movies. It's there's no point in remaking almost anything we've made because, well, we made it already.
Yeah.
But Sadistic Bitch doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And honestly, of the things we've made, it would be the easiest one to remake.
Yeah.
And it would be, you know, you wrote and directed that movie, so I can't speak for you, but if it was me making it in that capacity, I'd change a lot of things.
Lord, yes.
But because we're, also 10, 12, 13 years older now.
That was made before Freak Out.
Yeah.
And I was 22 when we made Freak Out.
Yeah, because I wasn't old enough to drink yet when we did Sadistic Bitch.
Yeah.
Like, we do a lot of things differently. It'd probably be a more cohesive movie.
Sadistic Bitch was a party movie.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
We made it to watch. Yeah,
it was a movie that we would bust out when we were having, like, parties and shit, because it was torture porn. It was torture porn before torture porn was a thing. Albeit, it was always, like, a comedy, but it was an exploitation film through and through. Remake Jesus, bro.
Yep.
Hey, if Eli Roth can remake Cabin Fever.
Yeah. Okay. Jesus Christ.
You guys got to keep the questions really short, because these scroll by so fast that if your question is really long, there is no way we're going to be able to read it.
Make an animated film. Got a couple $1 million, man? Like animated movies take more money and more time than anything else that's ever made. Like, especially the good quality ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to make an animated movie, we'd have to have a Kickstarter and we'd have to raise $1 million fucking to start.
Yeah, if you want to see the animation from us, watch the Lloyd animated series.
Yeah.
I love the Lloyd animated series.
And the guys that work on it, I honestly think the animation's incredible.
Yeah, Toonworks. Look up Toonworks. TOONWERKS.
And they'd probably be more than willing to make a feature-length movie, but the amount of work they put in, that's, it's...
Does Doug Walker smell bad?
No.
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 After 12-hour shooting days, we all kind of smelled bad.
No, he smells fine.
I was joking. I mentioned this on the Facebook Live the other day. That day off that we had during Jesus Bro was election day.
Yeah.
And so the next day we had to go back to set in the morning, and you were picking me up. You picked me up and just tossed me like I was like Jack Daniels or something.
I had
Jim
booze.
Beam,
like at 7 in the morning.
Like that. Like all right, yeah, sure. And I was getting picked up because like during the making of this movie, someone hit my car. I still need to get it's not totaled. Like I'm still gonna get it fixed, but. What happened was, it was in the this was like 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm asleep. Suddenly I hear just banging on my door. I thought like, oh shit, I overslept. And it's Dave banging on the door because we were meeting really early for this movie. It was an early call time. So it wasn't. It was a cop. And it was not long after 3, and some drunk girl coming home from the bar just crashed into my car. Like, fuck! And... So anyway, a few hours went by and I had to go back to the movie set.
Yeah.
Oh, you have it pulled up on there?
Yeah, just
good.
Was it fun to make or miserable? This movie honestly was it was a pleasure to make. It really was. I mean, we had a tight schedule and we wanted to accomplish a lot, so we were rushing. But at the same time, like, we made a movie with our friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what could possibly be better than that?
I
Like,
have a blast on any set for a movie that I'm not directing.
yeah, we got to make a movie with our friends, and even the people we didn't know, like some of the crew that got brought in. Yeah, I could name everybody, but specifically AJ, the director of photography, and Nick, who did our sound.
Patrick Buss, who also helped out on the Cinema Snob movie and Paranoia as well.
But, I don't count Patrick because Patrick's kind of one of us.
Oh,
He's just not on screen.
He is. He's in the... He's an extra in the restaurant scene.
Yeah.
And I think he's in the scene at the end, too.
Yeah, he's in the wedding scene. And, like, those guys, we all kind of had the same sense of humor and the same sensibilities and the same, we all wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
And because we were there and we wanted to have fun, and it was... a silly movie we're making. Yeah. And Ryan is one of those guys that, you throw an idea at Ryan, and if it works for him, he's going to at least try it. So it was fun and collaborative and a blast. Like, Slaver Brian movie. No. Brian won't do it.
Slaver Brian is in that treatment that I wrote for Close Encounters of the Third Reich.
Big straw hat and overalls.
No, he's like a plantation owner.
Oh, so white suit.
Yeah.
Ah, nice.
Like white suit, like sitting there like it's good to own land, like that kind of like that kind. I don't know if that fucking movie will ever get made.
Two questions I noticed directed towards me. They're two different questions, but am I predominantly an actor? In the context of our group, yes. Mostly because I don't have. Really, honestly, it's because Brad and Ryan are the driving forces of us making movies, so they get the fun jobs.
We can.
No, they get.
I don't know about that.
No, they get. No, you get the stressful jobs. You take those on yourself. So yeah, I am in the context of a group. Yes, I'm predominantly an actor. In real life, no, not at all. I've never been in a play. I've never been in anybody else's stuff. I don't know that I'd want to. If we keep making movies and we're doing this for a long time, I'd love to direct something because I think I'd be good at it. I'm visually... I went to art school. I trained as an artist. I'm visually inclined, so I think that would be fun. But at the same time, like, that's what we got Ryan for. So unless there's a project I really want to do and I really want to put in that effort, no, I've got a wife and a kid and a dog and a cat and... fucking house payments to make and shit.
And Netflix.
And and the other thing, did I ad-lib any lines? Lines, not really, but a lot of stupid shit in the movie that I did kind of, like some of the physical actions and stuff.
Right.
Like, it was just, and sometimes it was just working at, like, in that ridiculous scene, if you've seen the movie, where I'm making that horrible toast concoction. That was just I didn't ad-lib any fucking lines, but... like, I'm the one who placed the food in all the different spots because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, that was really fun. I got asked this the same question the other night if there was any ad-libbing, and the only thing I could think of was like there were a couple of lines that Rob ad-libbed, but also when you and Farad are looking at the video.
Oh yeah, those are all ad-libbed.
Yeah,
and Ryan cut out some of the raunchy ones.
Yeah, we had a few raunchy ones in there, but like when they're looking at the angry feedback from the Rick Heads fan base, like that was ad-libbing, including the people who were in the video.
Yeah.
Those were ad-libbed as well.
And Rob and Doug ad-libbed some lines, but I mean that's what they do. So I didn't ad-lib lines per se, but the other thing we've all understood about each other when we're making these movies, it's more important to get the line out comfortably than it is to read directly from the script. So we all change lines, but the context and everything is still always the same.
That's always how I've been, even back in the day when we were making stuff like Freak Out.
Because sometimes, you write something,
and
it does sound good coming out of your own mouth, but coming out of someone else's mouth, it's hard for them or it just doesn't...
It looks fine
it's
on
not
paper
their cadence, so you change those things and develop them. Would you do a parody film about remakes?
No. A parody film about remakes? No, I don't even know where to begin with that.
That would have to be like Christopher Guest can do that. He's the guy to
Sure.
make that movie, not us.
Yeah, like the next thing that I wrote is a parody on like Hallmark Christmas movies.
Is there deleted scenes in the DVD?
There's
I don't know.
there's an outtake reel.
Yeah.
There is an outtake reel, and I am gonna put up like all of the making of videos all stitched together into one video, plus with some added stuff at the end. And there is a deleted. There's at least a making of a deleted part at the end of that when you and Ryan were at the park. That was deleted from the movie.
The one thing that I was really disappointed didn't make the final cut, because I honestly thought that was one of the funniest things we filmed.
Oh, Ryan. I didn't see how it looked on because that was never in.
It was a
any of
pickup
the-
shot that we
Yeah.
filmed around Christmas, actually.
Yeah, and it was never in any of the rough cuts.
Yeah.
And what Ryan said was that it was too silly even for a movie like this. It was in the montage scene where the Rickhead's reading the Bible, and there was a part where he was reading the Bible at the park, and he's sitting on a teeter-totter, and then suddenly you hear, "Hey!"
It pans up to Ryan, stuck up in the air,
Mhm.
and I'm just going, "What?"
Yeah.
And then I stand up and walk away, and Ryan falls to the ground in a comical fashion. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
It was funny being there and seeing it. I have no idea how it looked in terms of having it in there in the edited scene, or in the edited together scene, because it was never in any of the rough cuts.
What was our budget? The budget was
$55,000.
$55,000. That's what everybody was kind enough to donate to us.
And if you look at you can see it in the film that we used actually more than that.
Yeah, every penny and then some. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it was a learning experience on how to use that money and how to use it effectively. And we did really well, honestly, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, yeah, maybe next time we'd prioritize some things over other things and change a little bit up. But it's also at the same time, we've been making movies as a group of friends since we were in high school.
Yeah.
And it's always been fun for us. And this started out being just for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we made a couple to show other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brad's got the website. And so the stuff that was made for the website. And these last couple movies, this was, the Snob movie was the first one we really made with the idea of making some money from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this one was the first one that we had the idea of trying to make as professional a movie as we could.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for our budget and the experience level of most of the people, the acting in it, I think the guys behind the scenes are probably more talented than this movie might show. Not that they didn't do an amazing job on this movie, but
what our director of cinematography did, AJ Young, was he studied all of these movies. He watched God's Not Dead, Old Fashioned, War Room.
He had a binder that was a lookbook for this movie.
Yeah.
Like, the man did research. So if you watch this movie and you think it, like, I've seen some of AJ's other stuff now, the man's really good at what he does, and he's capable of doing things that are much more impressive than how Jesus Bro looks. It looks like that for a specific reason.
And honestly, it looks better
Than
a lot of the movies it's parodying.
Was it a union production? No comment. Was it a union production? Not really, but we did keep union hours, and our crew got paid union wages. Most of our actors were volunteers, but that's what we do for each other.
We filmed it in the same town as the Lincoln Museum, so it's a union.
It's a Union Army production. Have we ever considered doing an art house film?
Well, there's Paranoia. There was this. I made what?
What's your definition of art house, though? I mean, that's really the question. Like a really good, serious-minded indie movie. Yeah.
The thing about that is, like, you go wrong on that, and it's
you go way wrong.
And you go way wrong, and it's instantly laughable.
Yeah.
And that's not the kind of movie. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't movies like that I like. There's plenty. But yeah, it is a genre where either it's going to be very, very, very effective, or it's going to be
terrible.
very funny, unintentionally funny.
And the thing is, like, comedy is our strong suit.
It is.
Um,
Comedy and exploitation.
No, I can see us, especially now that we have people that will most likely work with us again that are, professionals. I can see us getting more serious-minded in projects. But I think at least going forward for a little while, we're going to stick with comedy one way or another.
Yeah.
Just because it's easiest for us, and
If I ever did another, like, drama or something like some of our older ones, it'd be something that I'd be shooting myself.
smaller budget.
Yeah,
and
it'd be something that I'd be writing and directing myself, done in the same way that some of our older ones would.
upload the films we made on in high school on YouTube. No.
No.
Most of them don't exist anymore. That's a story into itself. But other than that, no, we made them in high school. They're fucking terrible.
Yeah,
we were really proud of them at the time, but looking back,
they would get, plus, it's the same reason you're not going to see Midnight Heat, Cheap, or Game Boys, or any of that on YouTube as well. Other than those movies are better than the ones we did in high school. The fact that
they'd get flagged so many
they
times.
would get flagged in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And I like having my YouTube channel. So
It's kind of how Brad makes his living.
yeah. So plus, also the reason why you wouldn't see a lot of older snob videos on the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, there's no point. It doesn't do us any good. And while it might be amusing for some of you guys to see, at the same time, it's quite frankly, like, we've watched a couple of them a few times over the years, the ones that still exist, and they're fun for us to watch because we're watching ourselves when we were 16, 15, 17, whatever. And it's nostalgic and fun. It's like, hey, remember when we made that movie in my parents' basement? But it's nothing you want to show anybody.
The closest that you'll get in terms of the stuff we did in high school is there's a reaction video over on the site where we're watching a thing that we made in like 98.
Oh, yeah.
That's called Stairwell. That's over on the site. That's pretty much the closest you'll get. I mean, the movies that... anything that we've done that's public that's not on YouTube is on our site.
Yeah.
Thecinemasnob.com. Also, since I couldn't throw in a description on here. If you do want to see the movie, it's JesusBroMovie.com. You can watch it on... it links you to Vimeo where you can rent or buy it. And you can also order the DVD from there as well.
Did you ever imagine you would be here one day with this loyal fan base?
No. No, because I started out the Cinema Snob as a lark. I started the Cinema Snob because I had a lot of free time. Because I had made 3 movies. I had made Freak Out, Cheap, and Midnight Heat before I started the Cinema Snob. And that I enjoyed. I was constantly broke and constantly high, like we talked about in the Trainspotting 2 video. So I enjoyed making those little exploitation movies and kind of showing them locally and things, because they had like a art theater screening here in town. And then I started the Cinema Snob just as a lark, because I thought it would be fun to do, to throw some like a series on YouTube that kind of riffed other exploitation movies and satirized like kind of highbrow critics. I never thought like I'd be sitting here 10 years later like doing it. It took it a couple of years for it to get a pretty big fan base, but I liked doing it. I still like doing it. And I still really love doing it.
I don't have a fan base. Most people don't like me.
You have a fan base.
Yeah, that's... okay. Do I? Yeah, fine. That's awesome. Cool. And I understand the people that don't like me. I understand why they don't like me. I'm not oblivious. Like, I'm an asshole. I'm just okay with myself. And that's the thing. I'm fucking untouchable.
But the thing is, like, why are you... First of all, you're not an asshole. It's like you're an asshole, I guess, in the sense that maybe you disliked a movie that somebody liked. Like, that's...
yeah.
That's not being an asshole. That's just like, oh, some guy's upset at you because you didn't like Man of Steel.
There was a question. It was actually a couple of minutes ago, but I thought it was an interesting question, so I'm going to bring it back up. Sorry for the people that are writing right now. Somebody asked, what's our end game with the movies? Like, are we trying to go big, or do we want to stay indie?
I mean, whenever... it's like with the Cinema Snob. I never really planned on that getting as popular as it was. It just happened. So that's always kind of the mindset that I've had. I like making I like writing what I want to write. I like making the videos and the movies that I want to make and do. And, you know, if any kind of big success comes out of that, then excellent. Yeah, I would absolutely love for, you know, movies to be like our bread and butter and all that. I would absolutely love for that to be the case. But, you know, I'm not going to be disappointed if
it's not.
If Jesus Bro doesn't make, you know, War Room or God's Not Dead money. Like, I know that's not going to happen. I mean, if it does, great.
We didn't get in theaters, and we don't have millions of Christians.
Yeah.
My thing is, like, for me, I like doing this because these are projects to do with my friends, and it's a way to be creative and have fun with the people that I honestly love to be around. And at the same time, like, I look at it as I want them to get big, not for my sake at all, but I want Ryan to be big because Ryan works really hard, and this is something he's always wanted to do, and he's good at it.
Yeah.
And Ryan does work in Hollywood on things, mostly as an editor right now, but like he's smart and gifted, and he's good with people.
Yeah.
And he's a good director.
Look him up on IMDb.
Yeah, and some of the other people we worked with on this movie, absolutely.
Yeah.
Brad is incredibly talented, and he could be writing movies for Hollywood.
Sweet.
Me, no, that's not. That's never been my goal, because this is, for me, it's fun. Now, if, you know, someone offered me a role in a movie, I'd probably say yes. But mostly out of fucking curiosity than anything. Not that I think, because I don't think I'm that good of an actor.
You are. You're a very good actor.
But also, along the same lines as the staying indie thing, like, one of the best life lessons I ever got in my entire life was not long after I moved to Chicago when I was 22, and I was living with my older brother, and you know, I'm a bit of an asshole now. I was a prick when I was 22, and my brother was 16 years older than me, and for years has been in small bands, and he loved playing music and doing things that he loved, and something came up, and I called someone a sellout. My brother, like, you know, we were snarky at each other all the time. It was one of the few times, like, he got real serious with me, and he looked me straight in the eyes, and he's like, you know what? Say what you want, but I can't fucking wait to sell out. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean, man? He's like, to make a living doing something you enjoy, even if it's not the quality that you want to do, you're making a living doing something you love. So fuck everyone else. And that's always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Cause
I love the fact I can make a living of us sitting in a car talking about movies that we just got out of, and doing stuff like Lloyd, the animated series, and the Cinema Snob, of course.
Somebody just asked, will we ever try a live midnight screening? This is the test, man.
This, actually,
this is the test.
That is why we're sitting here in the car doing this. We were planning on doing a live Q&A thing anyway, but we're like, let's do this as a test to see how this goes over.
This is the test. Now in live midnight screenings, the answering people on the screen thing, that'll go away. But doing it live, absolutely, especially if it can be archived and posted as a video later too.
They do.
There's really no, like, early on, before we had all found our voices and kind of found the line, it would have been hard because, you know, especially, you know, early on, you put me and Irving in a video. We were just trying to make each other laugh, but Brad edited out some truly horrendous comments.
Well, plus the fact that, like...
But because we knew he was going to edit them out, too.
Here's the thing. Everyone always... People who do what, like, you know, I do for a living and everything like that, they all hate looking back on their older stuff. That's true. That's the case for everybody. They all hate looking back at our older stuff. And I don't know how the hell I fucked up, like, just people sitting in a car talking about a movie they just saw, because what was it? Maybe like a fucking, like,
it was a good year and a half before we figured out we could put the camera
on the dashboard, and before that it's just me holding the camera. Like, really? Why? Probably because
I have an IMDb director credit
for midnight screenings.
Yes. Because I was the asshole holding the camera for a few of them.
That's hilarious. See, you've directed. Right. Maybe that... if I could maybe try to come up with some excuse for why that was the case, it was the fact that this was never... Midnight Screenings wasn't really intended to be
The second biggest show on the site.
Yeah,
too.
because the first episode was me and Jared talking about Thor, because we looked up and saw it was getting released at midnight, so I thought, oh, okay, well, this will be a fun thing to do. Let's just take the camera out there, and we record ourselves right after seeing a midnight screening of Thor. But then they started doing it, like the next week and the week after, they did it for everything that came out. That's how it's a series that kind of just began organically. It didn't intend to be like, it wasn't like I was like, this is going to be our new series. Jared, we're going out and we're seeing Thor.
Just briefly, I'm not going to go. Matthew, I'm glad we could help, man.
What?
That's all that needs to be said. Matthew, I'm glad we could help. And fucking, you're alright, man. Make a kid's film, Lloyd's Day Out. You know how hard that cat would be to fucking direct?
Yeah.
That cat's I love Lloyd, but Lloyd is not the kind of cat you're like, oh, come here, Lloyd. Lloyd's like,
no, he is.
To you.
To me, to Laura, to Lloyd's friendly.
Yeah, Lloyd's friendly.
Mm-hmm.
But Lloyd also, after a few minutes, is like, okay, I'm going to go do what I want to do now.
Oh, yeah, he does his own thing. He's totally independent. But, like, Lloyd's, and I've got... First of all, if Lloyd was a trained cat, we'd make a proper remake of that darn cat.
Someone saw my whole name in the trailer and thought it was a fake name.
Oh, I got to think about that in just a second. But Lloyd, I remember getting asked, like, why isn't Lloyd getting his own series? I'm like, he's not trained. He does now. He's got an animated series. He's still not trained. Somebody, I saw a review.
I saw that earlier today, too. The guy pronounced it Goebbels.
Yeah.
I laughed for like 20 minutes.
I did, too. He said, like, Goebbels? Goebbels? Like, oh, I hope it's Gobbles or something like that. There's a guy on YouTube who reviewed the movie. The movie is, in terms of the feedback it's been getting, in terms of the reviews, it's been incredibly positive. And yes, some of it is from people in the fan base, and some of it isn't. It is largely positive, whether you're in the fan base or whether you're not. It's overwhelmingly positive reviews, and whether a positive review comes from a fan base or not is still good, because if you have a bad product, it doesn't matter if you're if you're one of like the subscribers on YouTube or not. If it's a bad product, they'll tell you it sucks, especially on YouTube.
This person wants to know about the score and script processes and how they differ from other movies. I don't think they differ from other movies. Brad wrote a draft.
I wrote 2 drafts.
And then he sent it to Ryan.
Yeah.
And Ryan did did a version of the movie using Brad's draft as...
Yeah.
Like, didn't change a whole lot.
No, he added stuff to it. Like, there's
he
some...
expanded and contracted. He basically did some editing and added some things. And,
yeah.
And that's why he's a co-writer on the movie.
Yeah.
And he earned that credit. But,
no, he absolutely did.
But that's not really different from how script processes work for other movies. It's a process.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, movies before in the past, Brad wrote the movie and then we shot it.
Yeah.
This is one of the first times, like, there's been a script process.
Yeah.
And as far as music, I have no fucking idea. Ask Skitch.
Oh, yeah.
So we made the movie, and we had an inkling while we were filming that Robbie Rist and Anthony Ferrante had kind of offered to do a song.
No, they did.
Yeah, because Ryan and Anthony Ferrante are good friends, and they work together on things. And Anthony Ferrante does music with Robbie Rist. But as far as the score, Skitch was asked pretty late in the game.
Yeah, he was asked deep into post-production, Michael Scicciano, and he turned in a great score like he always does. He also scored like the Cinema Snob movie and Paranoia. He does the theme to Movie Nights, Alison Pregler's show. And Anthony Ferrante and Robbie Rist, there is an original Jesus Bro song that's played over the end. Also, there's a couple of their other songs that play throughout the movie as well.
Yeah.
So overall, it's got a great original soundtrack.
Yeah, no, yeah, but as far as process goes, we really don't know.
If it was like me directing it and it would have been a free movie on YouTube, it probably would have had the soundtrack of like Woodlawn, like obvious of like Spirit in the Sky, like One Toke Over the Line or something like that.
Advice for writing scripts?
I don't know. My process is I love writing dialogue the most, which is why like all of our movies are dialogue movies or dialogue-based films. So I write out all the dialogue first, and then I go in and attach everything else. That's just what's comfortable for me. Everyone else has their own strengths, or what they feel are their own strengths.
Like, honestly, like, the two easiest things you could probably do is hit your bookstore. There's books on screenwriting, and even if that process or that advice doesn't work for you, you might glean something from it. And a lot of community colleges offer classes on writing and film writing. But honestly, the best thing I could give to anyone who wants to write a movie, advice as someone who doesn't write movies, download scripts. Read how other people write their movies. Like, that's when I started writing scripts. Well before then, I was reading scripts by like in the early mid '90s. I was reading scripts by like Abel Ferrara, Tarantino, Kevin Smith, because it was early mid '90s, the whole indie movie boom, but also stuff from the '70s and '80s like Abel Ferrara's stuff. Yeah. But also, in the early to mid '90s, a lot of those guys were publishing the scripts too.
No, they were.
It made it easy access to get them.
Mm-hmm.
Now with the internet, which is in full bloom, it's so easy to find scripts.
Yeah.
And like, I about once a year I find the blacklist and I pick a couple out and read them just to read. And it's always surprising to me when a movie comes. That's the other interesting thing is, like, read the script to some of your favorite movies. If it's not directed by the writer, I promise you, they're almost always vastly different, and it's really fascinating to kind of figure out that process.
Dude, read the script for Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah. What do we got? 80s Dan the movie.
There was an outline that I wrote for it.
We talked about it a couple years ago.
We did. That would, if that ever happens, it's not going to be something like Jesus, Bro. That's a movie that, like, anyone who would watch it, no matter, like, yes, I would certainly write it for a bigger audience than the show has, but it would just be fans of the show that would watch something like that.
Yeah, maybe that would be a fun thing to do, zero budget for fun, as like a 3-part miniseries instead of a full movie. But like, that's the other thing about, like, 80s Dan, even though I was in an episode of that show, I was there for a lot of them being made, just hanging out. It always seemed fun, and it was a fun show to watch. But at the same time, like, that's one of those things that, like, there's kind of a reason it died out, and it wasn't our group changing. It was just it's a one-note character, you know.
Well, it died out because you're right. In the same way that something like Kung Tai Ted did, or The Big Box, which are these shows that we had when the site first started. There's only so much you can do with that, and I do feel that there's more that could have come out of 80s Dan. It didn't necessarily die because, like, I've got nothing else to say. It kind of just went out because it was very time-consuming. And so it was one of those things where it was like, okay, I want to do another one of these, and it would just get put off and put off and put off until it's been several years since there's been one. I've just been... my priorities have been the Cinema Snob, midnight screenings, Lloyd the animated series, and other things, Jesus Bro, of course, and whatever movie I want to do next. It hasn't been 80s Dan. I would do like an 80s Dan animated series, and honestly, if I ever did write that, it would be like kind of based from the notes that I had from the movie treatment that I had for it.
And that might be fun after Lloyd's done and wrapped up. Okay, what else we got? Do I like my beard? Yes, I do like my beard. My wife does not like my beard, and the reason
Really?
no, Sarah hates my beard. And the reason I get to keep it is because the baby likes my beard, and we're both slightly afraid that if I shave, the baby won't know who the hell I am.
You look like Ryan Reynolds in the Amityville Horror.
Well, you know, I like the beard. Like, this is not the first time I've had a beard.
No.
Before I moved back to Springfield, I had a beard for years. Mostly just because I don't like shaving. I get red and rashy really quickly when I shave. But like, there was a good year and a half where I rocked like the mutton chops into a mustache, just because it amused the fuck out of me, and I had no responsibilities.
I like the beard.
I think it suits me. Also,
Yeah, it does.
Especially now that honestly, I've packed on some weight in the past year or two, so it helps. It helps with my self-image.
That's why I kept the goatee for a long time, especially when I was bigger, before I lost a bunch of weight, because like
it cuts that double chin down.
It
know.
It does.
And I don't have a double chin. I now just have this slope, and it's like that's not. I don't. Hopefully, like, now that we're back in a place where the kids starting to eat food and we can diet, we don't have to worry about like keeping calorie counts up and that stuff, and I can start cooking for 2 people instead of 8 again. Because if you didn't know that about me, I do most of the cooking in our house. Not that Sarah doesn't cook; she's an excellent cook, but I love cooking.
Me and Laura just
like,
order out.
Well, you know, to each their own. I like cooking. I find it relaxing.
I do too, honestly. I just order out way more often than I don't.
Okay, what else we got? Sarah just texted me. She doesn't hate my beard. It's just scratchy on her face when she kisses me.
What if she's not watching the stream and that's just a huge coincidence? Like, she's sitting there thinking to herself, like, she's sitting there thinking, have I been too harsh on Dave's beard? I should text him and make him feel all right.
Is Hillary's America worse than Nuki? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's more, well, okay. Nuki is way more poorly made, and that's saying something.
But at least they were trying to make you know, there's more truth in Nuki than there is in Hillary's America.
Like, yeah, Nuki's not a dangerous film. It's not made to cause one person to hate another person.
Yeah.
It wouldn't bring out violence in somebody towards a group of people they don't like. Like, so, yeah, Hillary's America is worse than Nuki in the sense that most awful propaganda movies are worse than Nuki. Nuki is still worse made.
Oh, yeah. Nuki is one of the most horribly made movies I've ever fucking seen.
And when did you watch? It was because Sarah was the voice.
Because Sarah was the voice in your fucking Lloyd cartoon.
And I was like, I was sitting there, I felt so bad.
She insisted on watching the movie to learn the voice.
I just thought she was going to watch a clip.
Nope, watch the whole movie. And I sat there and watched it with her because I am an excellent husband.
Yeah.
Favorite Gorillaz song? That's nothing to do with Jesus, bro. And honestly, I like all the Gorillaz songs, but to be honest, I know it's the big hit and everything, but Clint Eastwood's their best song, okay? It's their best song. Now, if you want to talk Blur, Charmless Man's my favorite. But that's, you know, beside the point.
Someone asked, what Pure Flix movies would you put in the so bad it's good category? We've had a good time at some of these movies.
Yeah, you know that.
Let's say less Pure Flix and more just the religious movies in general.
In general,
Saving Christmas.
Saving Christmas, definitely. That's the one that's, to me, the most rewatchable because it's just so outlandish. I mean, they're all outlandish, and yes, we've had a good time with them.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I've had a good time with them because I'm watching them with you, and we get to make snide remarks to each other. If I tried to sit and watch one of those on my own, I'd be fucking miserable.
That could be the case with a lot of movies that are kind of so bad it's good. For instance, like, I would consider Can't Stop the Music a so bad it's good movie, but not if you're watching it by yourself. Trust me, I know. I did that when I did the Snob episode on it. But you watch a movie like that with, like, Allison and Phelan, it'll be like a blast. Granted, there's plenty of so bad it's good movies that you could watch on your own and have a really good time, like Staying Alive, for instance. But there have been Pure Flix movies that we've got. Really, it's only been a couple that I've been straight up angry, miserable at.
The first God's Not Dead made me so angry. But at the same time, Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah.
So it's one of each of those movies. They're bad. They're all bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of them have been a good movie. The Case for Christ was the closest to being a watchable movie, but it still wasn't good.
No, there's been a couple in this if we're going back throughout film history, there's plenty of great religious movies.
You know what? The one besides Saving Christmas, I'd say The Resurrection of Gavin Stone has some rewatchability. Just for the lead actor.
Little Boy wasn't that bad.
No, Little Boy wasn't that bad. Honestly, calling that a Christian movie, it's Christian, but it's not overtly Christian. It's not like this is faith. It's more like I have faith. You know, it's a different context.
It's a movie about a character that is at the end of the day trying to be a very good Christian, which unfortunately you don't see much in these movies anymore. Captive I thought was good. Risen was all right. But I had a blast sitting through War Room. That was fucking hilarious, man.
War Room was hilarious, but at the same time, War Room was so miserable because it just wouldn't fucking end.
It's a 2-hour movie, and you're right.
And I think half of your enjoyment, this isn't a comment on our friendship or anything, but you like torturing me.
That's kind of why, you're right. If I was sitting there watching War Room by myself, I would have been significantly more annoyed.
Half these movies, I feel like you're watching me more than the screen.
Kind of, especially God's Not Dead 2, when Pat Boone had the line of, being an atheist takes away the hope. You were sitting next to me, and you just went, wow. And I was like, but no matter if you were there or not, I would have had a fucking miserable time in Old Fashioned.
From the sound of it, I haven't watched that.
It was hilarious sitting through Voiceless with Brian because I was sitting there watching it with Brian.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't been to a faith-based movie with Brian before, and we both walked into this movie cold. We knew what it was about, but we didn't see any trailers for any of it.
About Jeebus.
If I was to say any of these are in the so bad it's good category, Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas.
Yeah,
by far and away.
Easily the most rewatchable one because it is so absurd, and then Santa comes out of nowhere and just kicks some ass.
If you're with a group of people, I would put War Room in that category. When it gets into her screaming at Satan, saying "Devil, get out of my house," and the stupid boss showing up going, I wandered the streets all night thinking about what you did.
Yeah.
You could get a lot of laughs out of War Room.
There have been, just to comment on it, there have been a lot of questions about if we would make different kinds of parody movies or if we'd make another parody movie. We made a parody movie, and as far as I'm concerned, I can't speak for Ryan and Brad on this, but I feel like we've done it. I don't see us making another parody movie.
I don't.
Not an overt parody like Jesus Bro.
Yeah, because that script that I have for the Christmas movie is certainly a satire on Hallmark Christmas movies, but it is tonally, it's a dark comedy, and it's definitely an R.
But it's not a parody.
No,
it's a play on something, but that's not necessarily a parody.
Think of that more like Hooker with a Heart of Gold than Jesus Bro. Even though it is playing up a bunch of cliches from Lifetime Hallmark Christmas movies, it's done. The movie is different than Jesus Bro. It's not slapsticky. It's a lot darker. It's a bit more sinister. But it is a dark comedy. It's not depressing or anything like that. It is outlandish, but very different than Jesus Bro.
As someone's asking, do ratings mean anything more? I guess in context what we were talking about. I think ratings do still mean something. I mean,
what do you mean? Like
film ratings?
Like PG-13 R?
It's one of those things that anymore for me, I don't think for most people it's a guideline on who can watch what. I think it's more of a guideline of what to expect for myself now. But honestly, now that I have a kid, I look at film ratings and I think about them, and it's yeah, it's probably a good thing these exist. Like, not that, like, you know, when my kid's 15 and she wants to go see an R-rated movie, I'll be the fucker buying her tickets.
Yeah.
But it's more along the lines of, you know, if I'm gonna watch something or rent something, you know, and the kid's gonna be sitting there with me, it gives me an idea of what to expect, you know.
Well,
and I think it has a different meaning than it used to. I think contextually ratings are
I think
different.
it's different than it used to, in the sense that, like, I don't have a problem with the fact that the rating system exists at all. I completely understand why it does. I've always understood why it does. Any problem that I've ever had with it is the way that it should be. The way that it absolutely should be is some movies are a PG-13 and some movies are an R. And sometimes people can forget that, and they'll take something which was made to be an R, should be an R,
and make it a PG-13,
and they'll chop it down.
Yeah, and that's you know, the studio process of it.
Yeah.
You know, but also I think that also stems from, you know, a PG-13 from when we were 13 is way different than a PG-13 now. Because when we were 13, you know, PG-13 movies had like tits and shit in them.
Yeah,
you know?
and an R is certainly different today than what it used to be. There are things that are rated R now that would have been an X back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, that certainly has changed, but there are still, perfect example. A couple of years ago, Expendables 3 came out, which was cut to a PG-13, and you can tell because it looks like you're watching a hacked up, edited for television version that I've paid theater prices for. That to me is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And I think that movie, whether it was an R or a PG-13, would have made the same amount of money.
No, it really honestly would have.
Because let's face it, even if it was an R, it's not a good movie.
No.
The third Expendables movie sucks. But at least I would have been watching how it was originally shot.
Yeah, they do that to get in, you know, that really, I think they're dropping a lot of those movies down. Not to get, you know, 13-year-olds, but I think to get like 15, 16, 17.
If people want to see it,
they're going to see it. Yeah.
R-rated movies will still do well if people want to see it. It's the same with PG-13 movies. If people want to see it, they'll go see it. And that's the case with R-rated movies. Like Deadpool made an ass ton of money. And I guarantee you, there were people under 17 going to see that movie.
Yeah. No, the major problem I've always had with the rating system is that it's, and there's really no other way to do it, but it's arbitrary. It's a group of people that sit there and watch movies and they rate them.
Yeah.
There's a set of rules, but at the same time, those rules are arbitrary based on the people that are doing the ratings. And that's the major problem. And it's hard to non-arbitrarily rate things like movies or TV shows or video games or art of any kind. It is, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and since the beholders change based on who's in that group at the time, that's what defines those ratings. And I think it's that and the studio need to make as much money as possible on these movies. I have our bread and butter is going to see fucking movies every week. At the same time, though, I really think about how, like, I feel like when we were in high school, there wasn't nearly as many movies coming out.
No.
And that's the thing. It's like these studios, they're all trying to make, you know, like those culturally relevant movies, like, you know, Independence Day and The Matrix. How long were those in theaters? I felt like we saw The Matrix 17 fucking times over the course of like a year and a half. Like, that movie would not go away.
And not just...
But that same movie, if it was released today, it would be out for a month.
Yeah, not just big blockbusters like The Matrix. Look at how many times we went to go see Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
When that was
out.
out.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, there's so many more movies coming out, which to a degree is great. But to the other degree, it creates
more bombs.
It creates more bombs, and there's an oversaturation of the market, and now the competition's so much more fierce that instead of releasing an R movie and letting it find an audience and make the money that it would have done, 10, 15 years ago, now I feel like they feel the need to bring those movies down to a PG-13 so they can get everybody in the theater in those first couple weeks and make their money and be done. And it's kind of sad. Like I really wish, like, I love the fact that we go see a different movie, 2 or 3 different movies every week. But at the same time, part of me really misses the idea of, like, going to a theater, seeing a movie, falling in love with it, and going back to it several times.
Yeah.
But not like, I gotta go back twice this week. It was real, like, going back casually is like, it's a Tuesday, what do you want to do? You want to go see The Matrix again? Yeah.
I rarely go back and see something again.
We don't have fucking time, man.
I'm there like 2-3 times a week seeing something because there's so many movies now that usually I can't get them out of the way on Thursdays. I have to go back either Friday or on Tuesday.
And we still miss a lot.
Yeah. And so it is rare where I go back and see something again. The last time that happened was I took Laura to go see Get Out. And so I did see that again in theaters. But before then, it was maybe Pain and Gain, maybe, was the last movie that I saw twice in the theater.
The last thing I saw twice in the theater, I think...
You saw Rogue One again, didn't you?
I saw Rogue One again, but that was kind of... That's... Like, I always feel like right around Christmas I see a movie twice. And that's basically because... we have this job where we go see movies.
Yeah.
And then my family, like a lot of families, on Christmas Day, my dad would generally take as many of us as wanted to go see a movie. And a lot of times what happens is, you know, it's now anymore people are like, what movie should we go see? And it's like, well, we all have in the family disparate tastes and things, so it's like, what's gonna make everybody the happiest? And like last year,
Daddy's Home it is.
Yeah, last year it was Rogue One, because it was like, you know, my sister really wanted to go see Fences because, you know, she went to school for theater and stuff, so that was something she wanted to see. And while I understand that movie, I wasn't nobody else was in the mood to go see fucking Fences, you know? And
great
like,
movie, but I know what you mean.
or you know, Bradstreet and I would have wanted to go see some weird, dark fucking horror movie, but nobody else would want to go see that but us. So it's you find the middle ground with everybody.
Yeah, to give you a link to the movie, JesusBroMovie.com. You could buy it or rent it on Vimeo on demand, or buy the DVD as well.
Which one of us gets it in the ass?
Both. Yeah, we take turns. Any questions about the movie?
People are just asking us. Ask us some questions about Jesus, bro. We're promoting things here.
Will the Rickhead return?
Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
But I don't think in a movie context. Certainly not as lead. But you know, that's the thing that, like, when Brad asked if I wanted to do this movie, like, I love being the Rickhead. It's fucking fun.
And it's fun to write, too. Writing for the Rickhead it was great writing it on the reviewers. It was great writing it in those promo Rickhead videos we did for the campaign. It was fun writing the Rickhead in the movie.
Well, and for me, doing it, the process of us doing those Rickhead things has been honestly one of the funnest projects for me. Because the way we've done them, I don't know if we've ever explained this before, the way we've done them all is Brad writes it, hands it to me, and goes, make what changes you need to make. And I sit there and I basically come up with some creative swearing for a lot of them. And then we literally turn on the camera and just try and make each other laugh for about a half hour. And that's... I love doing that. That, because every time we've done these Rickhead things, with the exception of Jesus Bro, Brad and I have been the only people in the room, so it's really fun.
Yeah, those were really, really fun to shoot.
So I could definitely see doing the Rickhead on a more regular basis. But it's just, the other thing is, like,
people think the character is real.
Yeah, they think he's a real guy, and that's like, go back and read some of the comments on some of those, like, especially the promo videos.
Especially the one, not so much in the reviewers. People knew it was fake there, but when we did 5 Rickhead videos to promote the Indiegogo campaign, and the one that had the most hilarious comments, to which they thought you were a real person, was the one about Milo Yiannopoulos. people thought, yeah, we're yelling at you as if you were a real person, and you just hijacked my channel and decided to do your own political videos.
Well, and besides that, anybody that was defending that piece of shit can fuck themselves anyway. Because you want to know how I feel about that piece of shit? He's a piece of shit.
I never got...
Every single one of you men's right pieces of shit can go fuck
Well, the thing
yourselves.
the thing with him is, like, I less get mad at him necessarily, because it's like getting mad at Borat.
I mean, the guy's he's a fucking joke.
Yeah, it's not. It's like I'm yelling at a fictitious person. Like he's playing up. It's like if people didn't know, people thought Bruno was a real person.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how I feel about him. And
no, I don't get personally offended by that guy because, quite frankly, nothing he says affects me as a human being. I am a privileged white male. And even he doesn't bother me because he's a fucking joke. It's all the people that buy into his bullshit. It's sad.
There were a lot of them on the comments for that one. Although it was funny seeing people thinking the Rickhead was a real person when he was talking about Crystal Pepsi and comparing it to, like, Nazism and shit like that.
Is the Rickhead my favorite character I've played? The Rickhead and Max Force. I mean, the Rickhead is a lot more fun in a way, but Max Force was a blast for me too, because that was Brad just writing me a license to be an asshole to people.
Cheap, I still like that movie. Like, it's clearly made 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of fucking problems, but that movie is... that movie is just so negative. Like, that is one movie where I'm like, I was fucked up when I wrote that. And I want to finish, just to finally get it released, Shot on Shitio, which has Max Force in it.
Which, he'll be fat this time. Quite a bit balder. But, it'll be fun to go back to that.
Don't expect a masterpiece when that movie comes out.
How long did it take to shoot the movie? 8 days. We filmed for 8 days. We were scheduled for 9. And we took a day off in the middle for Election Day so everybody could go vote. But yeah, 8 days. And, we stayed on schedule, but, in talking to Ryan, I agree too. I think, if we had had 4 more days, we could have done a couple more really cool things, been a little less rushed, gotten, a few more takes on some of the things that could have been a little smoother, worked with some of the people that don't act as much as some of the other people, myself included, because, I've watched the movie and some people have been very kind to me about it, but quite frankly, there are some scenes where I'm proud of myself, and there's a lot of scenes where I look at it and go, ooh, it's real obvious what happened there. And usually what had happened was I hadn't read the script.
And he sharted.
Just once. Oh, fuck.
No.
I accidentally got off the page. Hold on, guys. I gotta reload here. It's still going on here, but it's so far away, and we're both blind. And
I know, like, leaning up and seeing the scrolling out. I see the comments is right here on the page, but they scroll by so fast. It's like, oh, thank God you brought this up.
How did Sara feel about playing God? She felt fine about it. Honestly, like, of all of us, we like making movies. Sara really loves making those movies. She really likes acting, and like, she looks forward to it. So it's she was really excited.
And it helps that she's a great actress too.
Yeah.
Like, watch.
My wife is good, but the thing, it's, if you haven't watched the commentaries on the DV, or you might know, our child was literally born 3 weeks before we started filming. So the whole time, those 8 days, I was on set the whole time, every day. Sara was at home with a tiny screaming thing.
Yeah.
So, she was such a trooper for those 8 days. And the day that she actually got to come to set and act, not only was she looking forward to acting, she got... that was her first break from the baby that she had at all. And Letty, Brian's wife, was kind enough to babysit for us, as they have been kind enough to babysit for us a few times. But she needed the break. I guarantee it.
And the part of God was written specifically for her. Like, the Rickhead was written for you, and a pre-existing character. But the Burton Burpo part that Brian played was written for Brian. If you want to see Sarah in a lead role, check out Hooker with a Heart of Gold. It's over on our site. It's a really fun movie, and she's great in it. It's like we're taking questions from your dick.
What was its budget? And we've talked about the budget. It was $55,000, right?
$55,000.
Was it challenging to keep under it? Yes, well, we did go over budget a little bit.
Not until post-production.
Not till post. Was it difficult? Well, I mean, in one sense, like, it was the most money we've ever had to make a movie.
Yeah.
But that money went away really quickly as soon as we hired, a couple professionals and we rented some equipment, like good professional equipment. I mean, that stuff's not cheap. So our budget drifted quick. And then, this was also the first movie where a lot of us got paid for acting and things like that. So, I mean, the budget got used and utilized really quickly. And none of it was really wasted.
No.
But it was, it was barely enough to do what we wanted to do.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, that would have been the case if we had to keep it at $55,000. But once it got into post-production, we paid out of pocket on a lot of stuff for post-production. So it did certainly go over it.
Yeah, and I mean...
Which, fine. We wanted the movie to look good, so I didn't mind paying out of pocket for it.
Oh, and I think part of the reason that happened is, we were making this movie, and, it was very apparent that, ooh, this is the best thing we've done as a collective. We should do this. You're gonna go balls out, go balls out.
I just like the Cinema Snob movie, $16,000 budget. The Rickhead movie, $55,000.
Still plans to get the movie on Netflix. We've talked about this. Eventually, maybe, but that's a difficult and somewhat expensive process. And
I don't know much about what goes into the process for that. I'm not against it necessarily, but right now, just think of it as it'll just be on Vimeo and DVD. If you want to see it, don't wait for something else.
Because it could be quite a while.
Yeah.
Until we can find a way to do it effectively.
And plus, the more this brings in, the better our next movie will look. So if you want to buy it just to support us in the next project, do it. It's at, again, JesusBoroMovie.com.
Will we continue to crowdsource projects in the future to this scale? We'd like to go higher. Crowdsourcing... honestly, it worked really well for us this time around. And in the long run, we're going to see how sales do on this. I mean, it sucks to, promote a movie by talking about what we want to come out of it on the back end. But, Brad and Ryan both put some money into this. So the first thing we have to do is cover what they spent.
And it's been enough people have been watching it. So I've made what I paid out of pocket for it.
And that's great. But the other thing is, there's a thought process that we've had that, no matter what, Brad's going to keep making movies, Ryan's going to keep making movies, I'll keep helping them with their movies. But to keep going at this scale and move forward with different projects of a higher caliber, even though this movie was crowdsourced and our costs were minimal, we still need it to do well to justify the time and the effort. And I think the next step is using crowdsourcing to make a movie to find a larger audience. That's my opinion, but also I'm not in charge.
Regardless of, because like I said, the more people have watched this movie in its first couple of days than watched the Snob movie in its first month, and that's good. That's really freaking good. So the more that this continues to make, the better our next movie will look. It isn't necessarily in terms of that Christmas movie that I've written that we've talked about. It's gonna get made. It's just a difference of, is it gonna look like Jesus Bro,
or is it gonna look like
or is it gonna look like Hooker with a Heart of Gold?
Yeah. Somebody asked if our next movie we would hire a graphic designer to do logos. We did hire a graphic designer. He's incredibly talented. His name is David Gobble. He works cheaply. He works well. The only problem is our producers sometimes forget to tell them they need things until after they've put something out. So, in the future, just tell the producers that they need to contact their amazing graphic designer, a few months before they need a logo for a trailer, and then they'll have the logo for the trailer.
That's not my department.
Ryan's reading this like, fuck you, Gobble! Who is David Gobble? That's me. Favorite side character in the movie?
Carlos was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, that's one of those things, like, for me, I'm torn between Farad as Carlos and Allison.
Yeah.
Because they're both fantastic in the movie. And the other, they're both friends, so it's fun to work with them, too.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also big, there's also, like, I love Brian's goofy-ass character.
I loved Zach Lavoie's character.
I just love Zach Lavoie.
Like,
he's a beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful man. Like, if you get the chance to meet Zach Lavoie, bring him your most battered, beat-up copy of anything he's been in. Mm-hmm. You'll make his fucking day, because he's a beautiful sweetheart of a human being.
He is excellent to work
I got
with.
so excited when he, like, showed up on set. Like, yeah, Zach's here again!
Yeah, and he's in a scene for you see a clip of it in the trailer. He plays a park ranger at this hunting grounds, what's called the Church and State Hunting Grounds. And he has this scene in the movie that's just, every time, whenever I see it, like in the final cut and even back in the rough cuts too, like, god damn, it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. No, there's people answering other people's questions.
Oh, that's nice.
Wasn't Nash in the movie? Yes, he was.
Oh, yeah. Nash plays a drunk Jesus at the beginning of it. Not like actual Jesus. He plays He plays an actor on Easter Sunday at a church who was hired to play Jesus. And you can see a lot of his clips in the music video for it that I put up this morning.
Somebody's asking for permission to do a public screening. Not our department. Contact Ryan Mitchelley at walkawayentertainment.com.
Mm-hmm.
Chances are, this close after release, he's going to tell you no. Just to be honest, and that's don't take that wrong. It's just, we're trying to sell the damn thing. And I think Ryan at one point said he'd like to do a public screening somewhere here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And that might still happen. But
yeah, we've had public screenings down at theaters.
I mean, and there's one thing between showing like 4 or 5 of your friends in your house. Yeah, absolutely. Fucking show it. But it's different to like project it on a wall downtown someplace, like don't do that. What else we got? We should do the screening at Hollywood Palms in Naperville. It's not bad. If I had my choice of theaters in the Midwest, I'd want to do it at 2 places in Chicago, either the Music Box, which is one of the most beautiful buildings in Chicago, or the Vic Theater, and do it as Brew and View so I can get drunk. But that's a personal preference. Is it okay if you rent the movie instead of buying it? You don't have the money for international shipping. Absolutely, it's okay if you rent it instead of buying it. We would prefer it if you buy it, but if you don't, like, listen, to a certain degree, we're being greedy. We want to make some money off this damn thing. And we want people to buy it. We want people to enjoy it. But if you can only afford the $4 to rent it, I'd rather you see it than don't.
Yeah.
Just don't pirate the fucking thing. Spend the $4. Yeah. I'd rather you spend the $4 than pirate it. When does it come out on Redbox? Put a copy in. Like,
just jam it in there.
No, just go rent some movies.
Yeah.
And, take the sticker off.
Oh, yeah.
Put it on a copy of this after you buy the DVD and put it in the Redbox. Somebody will watch it. Have we made our money back yet? Yeah.
Yeah, the money that I paid out of pocket for it, yeah.
But we want to... Because the other goal with what is made off this movie, a lot of it, besides, Brad and Ryan are the producers, they could both... Ryan's got a kid and, bills and shit. He'd like to pay some off. Sure, Brad would too.
Mm-hmm.
But, from my understanding is a lot of what profit from this movie would get put into the next project to offset what we can't fundraise. Because, quite frankly, for our fan base and the type of movie we made, getting the $50-something thousand that we got was incredible.
Yeah.
And it was great, but we would like to work bigger because I think we could still make small things and on cheaper budgets and be happy doing it, but working with a budget, working with a crew, it made things really, this movie was a lot less stressful for, I think, everyone except for Ryan.
Yeah.
But Ryan was just in charge, and that's his job to be stressed out.
Yeah. It seemed like, and I don't know, someone could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like any kind of stress that came from the making of this is stress that you'd have on any movie project.
Instead of having to make 20 last-minute phone calls to try and find someone to come hold the fucking boom mic.
Oh, right.
You know, that's the kind of stress we had before. It's God, we need 3 extra people that aren't in this scene.
Yeah.
And that was sometimes hard to come by.
Yeah.
This, we actually had dudes, that knew what they were doing. They made us look good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hello, cast and crew of the movie. Well, is there other people on here? Would Jesus Bro be a good double bill with silence? We're promoting Jesus Bro. Jesus Bro would be a good double bill with anything.
Here's what you do. You watch Jesus Bro on a double bill with Holy Moses.
What kind of movie would we make if we had a big budget? If we had a gigantic budget, I think we'd make Class of 86, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I do.
That's the movie you and I have always really wanted to do. It's our post-apocalyptic, post-high school 80s slasher movie.
Yeah.
That would be the dream project, honestly. I think we're a little too old to play the parts ourselves now, but it would be so fun to just make that movie.
I've been working with someone to turn it into a book these past
I've
several
told you,
months.
you make it an illustrated book. I do the illustrations.
Yeah.
We both make a little money.
Oh yeah, that's what that's.
I've had the
gearing
style
towards
guide
now.
for that movie in my brain for 10 years.
Yeah, that's what it's gearing towards now. Is it's being turned into, the script is being turned into a novel.
Would we take auditions for projects? On the next project, who knows? It kind of depends. Brad oftentimes writes things with people in mind.
I do, yeah.
But
there's background characters and stuff like that I don't, or really tiny characters that I don't really.
Well, and that's one of those things too. If you got a fucking reel, man, send it to Ryan. You never know. That's the thing. Send it to, if you got a reel, send it to Ryan. And that's the other thing that, it's a problem we've had before with some actors that we've used, including friends. If your background's in theater, understand the difference between acting for theater and acting for a camera.
Yeah.
It's vastly different.
Which is why I've never acted on stage. I couldn't do that. My memorization isn't that good. It's I can memorize lines for a movie, because if I fuck up, it's all right.
Yeah.
On a stage, no. The only time I was ever in a play was in 1996, I think, and it was The Outsiders, and I was a preppy guy, and also I did voiceover work on it too. That was my Broadway moment. I got to be in the Rumble scene.
Is it okay if I make a parody Cinema Snob review of Jesus Bro?
Sure, why would I? You may not, sir.
Our bread and butter is satire and making fun of shit. It'd be really sad if we didn't have a good sense of humor about ourselves.
Yeah.
That would be really sad. Advice on making a screenplay to 90 pages? Are you trying to make it longer or shorter? Because if you're trying to make it longer, just keep writing. If you're trying to make it shorter, find the parts that are unnecessary and cut them out.
Making something longer is...
It can be hard as hell.
It is, because I can certainly cut something down in terms of a script. Making it long, because this was a thing with Jesus Bro. In the first 2 drafts that I wrote, Yeah, it definitely needed some fine tuning and some polishing and things like that, and some things needed to be structured a little bit better, but it also needed to be longer. It ran about 15-20 pages short or something like that, and I tried like hell to get it up there as much as I could, and I just could, because that's my strength isn't really making something longer like that. I could have cut it down if it was too long, but luckily, that's where someone like Ryan comes in and really did a great job of expanding it and fleshing it out and getting it there to like 90 pages.
Favorite scene to shoot? So much of it was really fun. I mean, there was different reasons for loving different scenes to film,
The Zach scene.
The Zach scene was fun because it's fucking Zach, and we had guns, and my my brother-in-law hiding behind a tree with a fucking deer head. Like, that was that whole morning when we were filming those hunting scenes was a blast.
And I got to have Paqui, like, nacho cheese chips for the first time on that date too.
Yeah.
Matt Bell recommended them, and I was like, oh man, I don't think I have had these. Holy shit. It's the little things.
Like, yeah, because there was different things that I love for different reasons. Like, that whole day was fun and comical, and we were all kind of slap happy at that point. And that's when, like, the production started turning into a cartoon. That whole morning, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
The bathtub scene was honestly kind of fun to film because I have no shame, and it was just a hilarious situation to be in. The scene where I'm doing the war room thing was fun for me to film because poor AJ, our director of photography, was crammed in a 2-foot closet with a slide rail on his lap, sliding the camera like that.
The wedding scene.
The wedding scene was, the same thing. We were just getting goofy.
Yeah, the wedding.
Brad and I were off making jokes and coming up with sight gags.
Yeah, that was. There's a lot. I don't want to get into too many spoilers here, but there was like one line. It was a joke, and it's not in the final cut. There's a line that was added to the script at one point, and it was a pretty bad joke, and everyone knew it was, and we knew it wasn't going to make it in. We figured it probably wasn't going to be put in there, but it was still shot anyway. And so it was hilarious because I was in the background of this one particular scene, so I had to be there for this, and I was trying so hard not to laugh because I could feel the contempt in like you and Allison's voices when this line was said. I think we talk more about this on the audio commentary track.
Yeah. An unrated cut? No, because we didn't really film anything that wasn't PG-13, except for stuff that's outtakes, which would be, hard R, but...
Yeah, the commentaries are an R. We curse in that. I'm sure maybe I haven't seen the outtake reel, so I don't know.
Did we crack a lot on set? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's comedy.
Well, comedy, and then, that's the weird thing about this. Like, we had professional people filming us for the first time, so they were putting us in positions that were really weird, because there was a whole lot of scenes that first day. I feel like Alice and I, we knew each other beforehand, but I feel like we became friends over this shoot. But like our first scene together, they had us standing like this close face to face, and it didn't look that close on camera, but we were like this close.
Yeah.
And we didn't know each other that well at the time, so it's just like, so, how are you? Are you as bad at small talk as me? It's just, every time Rob would grab me real close,
Did you ever read a version of the script that had the castration
scene
in it?
The first draft, when you sent that to me, yeah.
We've talked about this on the commentary. One of the big things that was changed from the first and second draft to the final draft was the reason why a lot of stuff in the third act happens, especially the ending, is because the Rickhead causes a mass castration event. And I think he does it to himself too, like, because I think there was a Rickhead video where he's like, folks, I just cut my balls off, or something like that. It was ridiculous, and I can't remember how the rest of it went. It's been so long since I've read the first draft of this script, but when the final draft came in, I think Ryan said something like, I hope you don't mind. We ended up cutting and changing the castration thing in the third act. I'm like, I would be shocked if you didn't. Maybe I'll put that like online sometime, like the script part for the castration thing, because it didn't. I don't think it ever. No, because it didn't show it, because the movie was never written to be graphic or violent or anything like that. It was just something that was like told and implied. Which is another good reason why it was cut, because it was a lot of telling and not showing.
And we still work that into a joke.
Oh, we worked... Yes, it is referenced, because there's one of my favorite, and I knew this would play really well on camera, is even in the first draft, when it was talking about the castration thing, Santa Christ's reaction was just a lot of, like, stuttering and saying, like, well, you didn't have to... I mean, wow, woof. Like, and I could see it in my head, and how it is in the movie is how I pictured it in my head, and it's fucking hilarious. So I'm like, I just wanted that Santa Christ stammering reaction. So in the final draft, I added like one kind of reference or lead into the Santa Christ having that line, which was the Rickhead saying like, well, you know, I could cause people to castrate themselves, which causes Santa Christ to start stammering.
How do we feel about fake people? You mean like cardboard cutouts? Because those things are awesome. I had a bunch in college. You know what? No matter what kind of a facade somebody puts on themselves, to a certain degree, like people that you might call fake, they're not really. That's just who they are, and they might be shitty people, but they're not. You know.
You in the chat room are tempting me to name names.
Yeah. Well, we can name some names, but we have to be civil. How do you feel when we finish a movie?
Relieved.
Yeah, it's over. It's nice to be done. Like
a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
I mean, well, with Jesus, bro, that was, again, because like I said, my on-set job was pretty minor, so even still, like, even I was tired at the end of all of those shooting days, so I still was looking forward to getting a lot of sleep.
That was a hard 10 days.
Yeah.
Like, everybody has their own lives and shit. For me, personally, that was at a time where I had things I should have been doing other than making a movie. So that was a real hard 10 days for me, but it was still, it was really fun. I got to hang out with my friends.
Mm-hmm. I still, because I knew I was just going to be shooting the behind the scenes stuff, and that like 95% of my scenes would just be shot in a day. I kind of went into it thinking like, oh, I could probably still do like a Cinema Snob episode or midnight screenings during this, but even I was fucking exhausted by the end of the filming days.
Least favorite scene to film?
Least favorite scene to film. I remember there were a lot of, even though the scene is hilarious and it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and watching the rehearsal for the scene was great too, there was a lot of like problems with traffic when we were doing the scene with you and Allison on the sidewalk.
That scene was, it wasn't like it was physically taxing or anything. It was just stressful, and it took a long time. Because with that scene, we didn't really have a good location picked out. We kind of used what we had, and there was traffic, and it was a long scene with a lot of fairly difficult dialogue, and still trying to hit the emotions right on it. And we did a bunch of takes of it, and to make it flow, we were having to hit marks. And me and Allison, personally, you know, we were also told to walk really slow, because when you're filming a scene like that, you walk it half to quarter speed of what you would normally walk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that keeping that pace and keeping those lines straight and everything was really difficult, especially once the entire crew moved across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hard. But, I mean, other than the movie was, for the most part, you know, a real pleasure to make. Like, there was a couple scenes where I had to get in uncomfortable positions, like I had to lay on the floor. It was cold, or like I would have like the director of photography like under my leg, holding the camera over my leg and stuff like that, and that wasn't fun to do for 20 fucking
There
minutes.
seems
But
like
it wasn't bad.
dude started chopping down a tree like across
Yeah,
the street
like,
from us and things like that.
It was the stuff that we couldn't control that made some things difficult.
That guy, that drunk guy who was pulled up on his bicycle when we were shooting the
I
scene
wasn't
with
there
Nash.
for
This
that.
is the day you were. Yeah, you weren't there for that one.
Harry, I guess. As far as technical stuff like that, I don't think Brad or... Do you know what camera it was? Yeah, we don't know.
That's a Ryan question.
Yeah, if you emailed Ryan, he'd be happy to tell you. But yeah, we don't know.
A good one.
Would we ever let filmmaker fans work on a future project? Got a portfolio? You got a reel? Send it to Ryan. Like, that's, you know, that's what... But also, at the same time, you never know. It's like... We met Zach Lavoie, and we just thought he was some random fan in Ghostbusters costume, and Zach's done several things with us now, you know?
Yeah, I knew
Like,
I knew Zach from the conventions, like,
Yeah.
because we both did, like, C2E2 and a couple of other...
I think the first one we met him at was...
I think it was C2E2.
No.
Or it was up in Chicago.
It was a whorehound, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, he showed up. That was it was when we first did Topo Chico.
Okay.
Because he came up that same weekend with they had a homemade Ecto Cooler.
Oh, I knew him well before that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
But
knew...
that was well before we did any C2E2s.
No, C2E2 was one of the first cons that I did. We weren't guests at this.
We just
were
went,
just there. Yeah. And I want to say that was like maybe like 08 or 09.
Okay. Is there a question in here? It's 4:20 a.m. in Germany. Good for you guys.
The answer is yes.
Someone earlier asked if I still smoke. I'll answer that. The answer is kind of. I have been struggling with quitting the past year. I would like to. I am in the process of quitting. Seriously, quitting. It's incredibly difficult. I've been smoking for close to 20 years. But having a kid changes your perspective on some of that shit. So no, I'm trying very hard to quit.
You want to wrap it up at 2 hours?
Yeah,
We've got 10 minutes until
okay.
then.
Any actual questions left? What's Smurfs 2 midnight screening? It's somewhere. Something happened with Kyle. Who gives a flying fuck? How long were we working on the film?
8 days.
Well, 8 days was shooting, but all in all, what? Year?
I wrote it last February. I wrote it. I wrote the first draft last February. I sent the first draft out to a few people, a few members of the cast, Ryan, of course, and then it was still going through the final draft process even while the Indiegogo campaign was going on, because the scene reading that we did when we were promoting the Indiegogo campaign, we did a scene reading with me, Dave, Brian, and Sarah, with Brian filling in for Carlos. That was from like either the first or second draft, because there's like one thing in there that's not in like the final version of it, and it's when it actually shows like a clip of my character's snuff film or something like that, and that was cut. That was like parodying Clay Walsh's porn videos from Old Fashioned.
Where'd it go? How are we getting this movie to reach non-fans of the site? We're not. You are. Help.
Yeah, spread it around.
There's only so much we can do about that, because
there really is.
We don't have a giant distribution company. We're doing this ourselves. So, like, the best thing that, if you like it and you got a friend that doesn't watch the site, show them the movie. It can stand on its own. And if you got someone you think will enjoy it, show them it, and hopefully it'll spread that way. And that's...
Yeah, I mean, I've tried. I've put some links in like different like film forums and stuff like that. But other than that, no, it's what he said. In order for it to get a far reach, we put it out there for our fans, of course, and then it's kind of up to them to share the movie with their friends and family.
Funny stories during film, tons of them. Buy the movie and listen to the commentaries.
Yeah. It's all on the commentary.
Helps you out with writer's block. Cocaine.
Well, back in the day. That's how the script for Cheap was like 200 pages.
That was a long script.
Fuck.
Ever want to do an animated film? I don't think, like, he does Lloyd the series, but doing an animated
I remember
movie?
at one point I considered, like, I was picturing in my head Class of '86 being an animated movie. But you know, right now Class of '86 is being worked into book into book form,
Like,
and I love writing the Lloyd animated series.
Ever plan to make a Cinema Snob video game? No, you want to?
Nah,
No. Ever do a musical?
I can't write music for shit.
I'm tone deaf.
Yeah,
I love music, but I can't sing or play anything.
yeah, I played the drums a long fucking time ago, but other than that, like, no, I can't. That would have to be a case where I'd have to write everything else but the music, which I know actually that is the case with a lot of musicals, but like, yeah, no, I never really thought about that.
The answer to this is an obvious yes. If you ever got the rights, how about a Tequila and Benetti movie?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, fuck.
I technically did. One of the Lloyd episodes was Tequila and Benetti, the movie.
Yeah.
Finally, they got some resolution.
Was there any people that you wanted that couldn't film? Well, we tried to get Carmen.
We tried to get Carmen. We came this close. It wasn't like a flat out no, like it really was scheduling conflicts. I found out how to get in touch with his agent or manager, and so I told them what the movie was, what kind of movie it was, and I said that this isn't an insulting movie at all or anything like that. And I talked to his manager for a little while. Really nice lady. And it was really close. Like, she was getting in touch with Carmen. She was forwarding him the information and the filming dates and everything. And it was a scheduling conflict. That was it. He was on tour while the movie was being shot.
Who did you want Carmen to play?
Because I didn't think it's not something that I thought about until way late into like pre-production. So I didn't really have a character in mind. So I didn't know what. I also would have been surprised if it actually happened, but it turns out it came really close to actually happening. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
He could have maybe we could have had him be like the
Even
reverend in the wedding scene. Maybe.
like it's one of those things that like a lot of things were, you know, some of the smaller parts were people that were cast last minute out of theater people here in Springfield or friends, and like you know, when you cast someone like that, you know, it's not like he's a huge star. He could have been the bartender.
He could have been the bartender.
He could have been the guy eating, you know, that I was yelling at. He could have been just about anybody, you know.
The bartender. That would have been really good.
Any sexcapades with a talent. Well, let me tell you, I got the lady who played God pregnant.
That's right.
It was well before the movie. Yeah, but I knocked her up good. I knocked her. Jesus Christ. I was about to say something horrible. And I was like, my wife is like 10 feet away. She'll come out here and smack me. Being like, yeah, I knocked her up good, and now she does my dishes. Like,
we had flings on past movies.
well, you know.
But it was a long time ago. Okay, we might have to wrap this up. It's saying it's giving me a very bad connection thing on there. Yeah, I'm getting a red bar.
It just says, what the fuck happened? People freaking out.
Oh, is it actually?
Did I play the Rickhead any differently than I had before? Well, yeah, I played him. I tried, because he was more in this movie than he was in anything else we had done before. He wasn't just the angry guy. So I had to, you know, based on what Brad and Ryan wrote and Ryan directed, you know, we had to. He was, you know, more of a person than just somebody screaming obscenities.
I just saw Farad in there. Farad just goes, I will not be in the Slaver Brian musical.
But Farad, you'd be his business partner.
Right, I haven't even said what the role would be.
Black Hercules.
Since it went away. Yeah, we should probably wrap
Somebody
this
just
up.
got on and like, oh god, it's live. Yeah, we've been here almost 2 hours.
They thought this was pre-recorded the whole time. We should wrap this up.
Yeah. Well,
We're coming
thanks,
up on 2
guys.
hours. I'm running out of battery.
And I'm glad to see that this works. So maybe
Yeah.
we can start doing some, the occasional midnight screening live for the people that are actually around when we do them.
Yeah, I would. That's been something I've been wanting to do for a long time. Is midnight screenings live. Yeah, I know, no battery. So anyway, to buy or rent the movie, go to JesusBroMovie.com. That'll take you to Vimeo, where again you can buy or rent the movie. You can also get it on DVD, and all of that is at JesusBroMovie.com. All the stuff like the behind the scenes and everything like that we got on our YouTube channel. We got on our site as well. So our YouTube channel is youtube.com/stonedgremlin productions. You can also see us at thecinemasnob.com, channelawesome.com. And again, the movie is at JesusBroMovie.com. Anything else?
No,
I guess that's it. Anyway, thanks a bunch for hanging out with us for a while. We
Thanks,
hope we
guys.
got enough of your questions asked. So we'll see you soon.
We'll shut up and we'll take your money.